All right, so now we're going to take what we learned about equivalent fractions and we're going to check some out to see, are these fractions equivalent? So a little reminder, equivalent fractions name the same amount. Just like how we had 1/5 and 2/10 that shows the same amount, we're looking to see if the two fractions we're comparing to each other would show the same amount. So to check and see, we're going to use the little trick here where we talked about, I'm going to start here with the pink one. We have 1/2 and 7/12. To see if they are equivalent or not, you have to think through. Whatever you multiply the numerator by, you have to multiply the denominator by that same exact number in order for them to be equal. So comparing 1 to 7, to get from 1 to 7, I would multiply 1 times 7. To go from the 2 to the 12, think through, 2 times what number would give me 12? Well, 2 times 6 would give me 12. So I had to multiply my numerator by 7 and the denominator by 6 to take it from 1/2 to 7/12. What that means is these two fractions are not equivalent. They are not equal to each other. So that symbol is going to be written with an equal sign here in the middle, but you're going to cross through it. That means not equal. They do not equal the same amount. They don't show the same parts. Now, let's look over here at 8/10 and 4/5. You might be thinking, how do we get from the 8 to the 4? Well, instead of multiplying, we could also divide. You have to divide by the same number from the numerator and the denominator in order for them to be equivalent. So to get from 8 to 4, you would need to take 8 and divide it by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now let's look at the denominators. We have 10 and 5. To go from 10 to the 5, you would have to divide the 10 divided by 2, and that would give you 5. Now let's check. Did you do the same thing to the numerator and the denominator? You did. You divided both of them by 2. So that means that 8/10 is equivalent to 4/5. If I drew a circle and divided it into 10 equal parts, and I shaded in 8 of them, it would be the same as taking that circle, dividing it into 5 equal parts, and shading in 4 of them. Those two fractions are equivalent to each other. Let's look here at the green ones. We have 3/4 comparing it to 8/12. This time I'm going to start with the denominators. I have 4 as a denominator and 12. To go from 4 to 12, I would need to multiply the 4 by 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Now I'm going to look at my numerators. I have 3 and 8. Is there a number that you could multiply 3 by and get to 8? There isn't one. There's not any number we could multiply 3 by where the answer would be 8. So that already tells us, this one, you really can't do anything to that 3, multiplying it or dividing it by something to get to 8. The 4 we multiplied by 3 to get to 12, so nothing and multiplying by 3. Are we doing the same thing to the numerator and the denominator? We're not. So 3/4 and 8/12 are not equivalent. They would not be showing the same amount. Last one here, we have 2/3 and 4/6. Start with our numerator. To go from 2 to 4, you would multiply the 2 times 2. 2 times 2 would give you 4. Let's check our denominators. To go from 3 to 6, you would have to multiply 3 times 2, and that would give you 6. So we're multiplying our numerator by 2. We're multiplying the denominator by 2. We're doing the same thing. That means that 2/3 is equal to 4/6, or 2/3 and 4/6 are equivalent fractions. So if you are asked to check between two fractions to see if they were equivalent or not, use that little trick. Whatever you do to the numerator, you have to do the same exact thing to the denominator in order for them to be equivalent.